Good morning. It is the 1st of October and it's approximately 10 a.m., 10:01, depending upon which clock you're looking at. This is the Finance and Administration Committee meeting. And first on the agenda is public comment. If you are interested in providing a public comment, you can come to the podium, share your name and the jurisdiction in which you vote. You have 3 minutes.
Bob Freeman, Blendon Township. Happy new fiscal year day
Yeah.
today. You'd be the first to say that. Unless somebody else. I was noticing in item number 2 on the agenda and action items that it's got 23 million and some odd change. Actually, it should be 32 million. Just for your information, because that's what the backup says. So you might want to check that out or whatever, but it's about $9 million off, which is chump change to you guys with the legal fees and everything. And I noticed in there the list of lawyers that we hired, Kelvin Group, and I think it was Mueller, a law group, and I think it was Dickinson Wright. And that all adds up to about $52 million. I'm sure some of that's for the insurance authority and stuff, but that's a lot of money for legal fees. And the last thing was I did listen to your transitions meeting yesterday. I did it during the commercials in the football game yesterday. So there's a lot of commercials and I got yours done in the third quarter, I think it was. But anyway, the first half of it can be described in one word. It was boring. And the second half was on the search for a partner, I guess, to help you do an executive search. And one of the names that was mentioned by Mr. Moss was the W Group. So I did some checking on them on the internet, and they are a talent agency group like William Morris in New York. They don't do executive searches. Maybe they're branching out and doing something, but they are like hire actors and models to do work for them. So that doesn't make sense at all. Sorry, Joe. I know you're laughing. But they are that type of an agency like William Morris, who signs actors. So that was my point on that. So thank you.
Thank you.
Someone could be so wrong.
Is there anybody else interested in public comment?
Chantal Martineau, Park Township. I just want to remind you to please adjust your microphone and speak into it because it's quite hard to hear you out in the gallery. And I just listened to the last finance meeting recently online and it was very difficult to hear online as well. Thank you.
Are you hearing us today? Are you hearing me today? Because I hear it back here, but it's not.
I couldn't hear you call the meeting to order.
Okay. Good to know. Thank you. Is there anybody else? Seeing none, we will move on to the approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So move.
Second.
Was there discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of approving the agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Next are consent resolutions or a consent resolution. The motion is to approve the meeting minutes from September 17th, 2024, Finance and Administration Special Committee meeting. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Is there discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of approving the minutes from September 17th, 2024, Finance and Administration Special Committee meeting, say aye.
Aye.
Same sign. The motion passes. Next, we're moving on to the agenda and action items. Number 1 is the statement of review. The suggested motion is to approve the statement of review. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Do we have discussion? Being no discussion. This one. Can we go to a roll call vote?
Yes, we can.
Thank you.
Mr. Belknap,
Yes.
Mrs. Curran,
Yes.
Mr. Moss,
Yes.
Mrs. Wenzel,
Yes.
and Ms. Cosby.
Yes,
Motion carries.
thank you. Second on the agenda is accounts payable for August 26, 2024 through September 20th, 2024. The suggested motion is to approve the general claims in the amount of $23,482,466.93 as presented by the summary report for August 26, 2024 through September 20th, 2024. Do I have a motion?
I would.
So you're going to have
move-
to amend that. So it appears that the one that was sent to us has the incorrect number. So it's actually 30, since it's your email.
Okay, something just popped up. I wasn't looking, but what I'm thinking is that we could have Karen speak to, is it the 32?
It's
It
just a
should be
typo.
32.
It should be 32.
Karen can come up.
All right, so we'll have Karen speak to it and let me see what we've got for the actual number before we go forward then. All right, so I'm going to repeat this motion then, and then Karen, if you could help us. So the motion is to approve the general claims amount of $32,482,466.93 as presented or amended by this summary for the report for August 26, 2024 through September 20th, 2024.
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
Second. Discussion. Thank you.
I apologize for that. That looks like there was a transposition, the 23, the 32 became 23.
I've never done that.
Divisible by 9 transposition.
Thank you. And thank you for the catch, Mr. Setman. All right. So, well, let's see. So going back to the motion, we'll go ahead and go to a roll call vote.
Mr. Moss,
Yes.
Mrs. Wenzel,
Yes.
Mrs. Curran,
Yes.
Mr. Belknap,
Yes.
and Ms. Cosby.
Yes.
Carries.
Thank you. Next is action item number 3, the 2023 Administrative and IT Cost Allocations Plan. The suggested motion is to approve and forward to the Board of Commissioners the 2023 Cost Allocation Plan and 2023 Innovation and Technology Department Allocation Plan for implementation in the 2025 budget. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Right, and is there discussion? Almost thought Paul Klimas might be here for this. One thing I did notice in the table of content, it doesn't look accurate for 2025. We have a DEI department in that table of content. Hi. Hi, Karen.
Right.
Good morning.
This is the annual calculation or report that's prepared that allows us to bill grants. So it's prepared in compliance with federal regulations to allocate costs. So IT costs and administrative overhead. We use audited figures. So that's why you're looking backwards. So you're looking at the 2023 audited numbers.
Okay.
It's kind of on this 2-year rolling cycle. And when we did 2021s, that's what we used to estimate what 2023 would be. So that's probably why you're still seeing DEI in the report, because in 2021, I think there probably was still DEI office, or at least some charges there. So when we do 2023, we use that to estimate 2025. And then when we finish 2025, we'll look and see what the actual costs were. We'll compare that to what we estimated, and then we'll true it up. So there's this constant roll forward, true up, roll forward, true up, but it's on a lag of 2 years. And
Okay.
it basically is in compliance with grant rules, and it allows us to bill federal grants. but this report is prepared every year and is part of the budget process. So these are some figures that we included within the 25 budget.
Okay. Thank you for that explanation. Is there any further discussion or questions of Karen? Seeing none. Thank you, Karen. So the suggested motion is to approve and forward to the Board of Commissioners the 2023 Cost Allocation Plan and the 2023 Innovation and Technology Department Allocation Plan for implementation in the 2025 budget. We'll go to a roll call vote.
Mrs. Wenzel,
Yes.
Mr. Moss,
Yes.
Mrs. Curran,
Yes.
Mr. Belknap,
Yes.
and Ms. Cosby.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Moving on to action item number 4, it's the purchase of development rights and easement acquisition. The suggested motion is to forward to the Board of Commissioners and recommend to the board chair and clerk for board chair, clerk and signatures on the conservation option agreement with Lee J. and Lisa E. Rielsma for the, how do you say it?
I'm gonna go with
Rilima? Rilima?
There
I
you go.
apologize,
like that one
uh,
better.
For the development rights to approximately 47 acres of farmland in Blendon Township. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
You, and saw Becky was here. Good morning.
Morning. Yes, you have before you a purchase agreement for our 12th property that we'd like to preserve. As stated in the action request, it is roughly 47 acres. It's probably going to look a lot more like 45 after survey and we do an exclusion, but give or take. You'll also notice in that purchase agreement for this property is that the price that you see at the bottom is a little higher than what we're asking for in the action request because we got the appraisal in, so we have good numbers going forward on that. We'll get the survey completed. That was done on Saturday. So this will be, as I said, our 12th property. We have 8 preserved at this point, encompassing about 700 acres. We have 1 that's on its way to close and 3 we're actively seeking funding for, and that'll bring us to up over 1,000 acres by the time we get all 12 of these properties on the books. So happy to answer any questions. This is corn soy ground, fairly level, 1 ditch that runs through it, 100% prime soils. In a fairly threatened area. We're applying for ASAP funding because they have some IRA priorities that are prioritizing threat of conversion, and we think London Township is going to be a very good fit for that. We're also applying for the Rash property, which is one you've already approved, but we still are seeking funding for that property. So that might be more than what you needed to know, but I'm happy to answer any questions you have about this piece of property.
No, you're clearly the content expert though, of how many acres we've purchased in the county and how much you're proposing for the future. Yes. So how much is that approximately? Like what you're looking at? So right now you're saying we're going to have 1,000 acres total
Reserved
then
under our program.
under that
specifically,
program.
yes.
And then in the future, I mean, was it 3 other properties that you?
Yep, so when we'll probably close, right now, we're at 700 at this moment. By
Okay,
the time we hit 1,000 acres, we'll probably be end of 2026. But we'll keep, we try to choose at least 1 property, possibly 2 every year. We're constrained by funding, by matching funds. So the most we can probably preserve or select to preserve in any given year is anywhere between 30 and 120 acre
Okay.
properties. So, yep, we just try to grab all the funds we can and preserve as much as we can.
thank you. Commissioner Moss?
Just check in, are the Rilimas on the agriculture board or are they related to anybody on the board?
They are not.
Okay, great.
I'll have to check on the relation piece, but they do not serve on the board. If they have any, typically the board is pretty good about disclosing if they have any sort of relationship. They don't,
Okay.
I've not had any board members disclose, but I can ask that question
Okay.
for certain.
Thanks.
Any further questions?
I would like to point out you have a not very meaningful piece of paper in front of you that was supposed to be included in your packets. I'm required by ordinance to supply the board with the full ranking of the properties each year. It was supposed to just slide in behind the purchase agreement. That's, so it doesn't have any data on it, but it shows that the Rilima was the top ranking property of our 9 eligible properties. I give the scores, I redact the other information just simply out of courtesy for those who have applied, but I'm required by ordinance to supply that to you. for approval, and I apologize for that not making the packet. I was all ready to blame Jordan for not putting it in. Yours truly did not attach it on base.
It started with 23 million versus 32 million. We're good.
Roll over
We're
here.
good.
Accuracy is the name of the game.
Yes, we're human. Exactly. Exactly. So thank you for that. All right. So the suggested motion is to forward to the Board of Commissioners and recommend the board to board chair and clerk signatures on the conservation option agreement with Lee J. and Lisa Realma for the development rights to approximately 45, 47 acres of farmland in Blendon Township. We'll go to a roll call vote.
Mr. Belknap,
Yes.
Mrs. Curran, Yes. Mrs. Wenzel,
Yes.
Mr. Moss,
Yes.
and Ms. Cosby.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Next is action item number 5. It's the digital evidence management and prosecutor's office. The suggested motion is to approve the Axon Justice contract to allow the prosecutor's office to purchase and use the evidence.com software for the management of digital evidence. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Right. Do we have any discussion? I don't know. See prosecutor's office there representing. I don't know, Sarah, if you're talking, or Elizabeth, are you Elizabeth? Hi, Elizabeth.
Hi,
Good
I'm
morning.
Elizabeth Cookenmeister. I'm the office manager in the Grand Haven office of the prosecutor's office. I just wanted to give you a little bit of an idea why we're asking for this.
Can you get closer? I know.
I'm sorry.
Oh, no, it's hard.
So the prosecutor's office is currently dependent on the storage software for the police agencies for managing digital evidence. And we run into where the time that they're allowed to share it with us runs out. We also run into issues of not being able to protect certain information like the faces of minors and things like that. So this software would allow us to store our own or store the digital evidence that's shared with us for a longer period of time. It would allow us to do redactions and also transcription, which we currently ask or farm out to another agency. So it would definitely benefit our office to be able to better manage that.
It looked like there was a 5-year payment plan too for the total amount as well.
That's correct.
Yeah, no, you did a very good job with the summary. Provided a lot of information. So, do we have any questions? Elizabeth? Yes, Commissioner Moss?
Sure. Yeah. So this is with Axon, which is the vendor selected for body cams and software. And so is it like a direct, is this somehow like a recommendation that kind of comes from them too? Like a really good way to do it?
Yes, so we participated in the digital evidence review process with the sheriff's department. Axon made the most sense for us as well. The other agencies, we have about 5 other agencies in the area that use use Motorola for their process. And in order to upload the information to evidence.com, we have to download it and then upload it separately.
Mhm.
Those agencies only make up about 16% of the cases that we receive. So it made very much sense to go with Axon for the sheriff's department. So we weren't
Mhm.
doing the other 84 to 100% downloading and uploading. And this software does offer the best options for us.
Great.
Any further discussion? Seeing none.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you, Elizabeth.
You too.
All right, so the motion on the table is to approve the Axon Justice contract to allow the prosecutor's office to purchase and use the evidence.com software for the management of digital evidence. We'll go to a roll call vote.
Mr. Belknap,
Yes.
Mr. Moss,
Yes.
Mrs. Curran,
Yes.
Mrs. Wenzel,
Yes.
and Ms. Cosby.
Yes,
Carries.
thank you. Moving on to action item number 6, West Michigan Health Insurance Pool Trustees Resolution. The suggested motion is to approve and forward to the Board of Commissioners the request to adopt the resolution naming trustee and alternate trustee for the West Michigan Health Insurance Pool. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, good morning, Zach.
Ooh, good morning.
Good morning. Oh, looks like you've got backup behind you too.
Yes, I-
Yes. Side to side.
I'm Zach. I'm the interim HR director here at the county. And today before you, we have a resolution to name the trustee and the alternate trustee for the West Michigan Health Insurance Pool, as we look forward to joining the pool. So I thought it'd be helpful to have some background information on our health insurance that's coming up for 2025. And then also for you to have background on the pools in general. So today I have Mike Haggerty here with benefits, with Gallagher Benefits. They are our broker consultants and have been with us for many years. So he'll present information on the pool and what that is exactly. But first, I just wanted to go over what health insurance looks like for 2025 coming up here. So Gallagher helps us with a renewal. Every year we bid out our plans to figure out which health insurance provider wants to bid on our plans. Priority Health gave us a 24% increase for 2025, which of course made us fall out of our chairs and is very concerning. And so there's many things that we do as soon as we hear those initial rates. So the first thing is that we asked Gallagher and Mike and his team to go back to Priority Health and negotiate with them. And so they did that and it dropped a couple of percentage points, which was great. Another thing that we do is we initiate the County Health Alliance. That's in all of the collective bargaining agreements. So that's a way of the employer and the employees to come together. We learn from Mike and his team as to what happened to our rates, what's going on there. And then they make plan design changes. So they're like, all right, well, we don't really want to see a 24% increase. So what can we do to our plans to help lower that? Just for comparison, over the past 7 years, on average, the Ottawa County renewal has been 6.14%, where the average trend is 6.86. So looking over a 7-year period, we're still below trend. It's just this year, there's a massive increase. For the other 5 years, we saw increases like 0% for a couple of years and 1%, much below what was happening in the industry. And so now it seems like maybe Priority Health is playing catch up on those rates. To go into the child a little bit more, so last week I met with the unions. We came forward with several plan design changes that will further lower the cost on employees and on the county as well. So beyond just doing plan design changes is how we fund the plan as a county. So until about 12 years ago, we were self-funded. So that means Ottawa County paid each of the claims. So twice a week, we would get a list of claims that had to be paid. And then we would take time to process that and make those payments twice a week back to Priority Health. But the bad part about that is that you absorb all of the liability. If 15 people have triple bypass, that's very expensive on our plans, and it's very hard for the county to budget. So in about 2012, the county got fully insured rates from Priority Health, and it seemed to make sense to go to a fully insured model at that time. So for the last 12 years, we've been fully insured, but now that we've seen an increase of 24%, we have to choose other options. So we asked Mike what it looked like to go back to being self-funded, but how can we limit that liability on our budget every year? Because that can be concerning. So one way we can do that is be self-funded. So we experience the savings, but join a consortium of other local governments and other people to share that cost. So on an individual level, this might be similar to MediShare, if you heard about that. So it's a way to share the organizational costs between each other and absorb those ebbs and flows. So I'm going to turn it over to Mike here, who will present on the pool, the West Michigan Health Insurance Pool, and go over what that looks like.
Thank you. You've answered so many questions right there.
Thank you, Zach. Good morning. Thank you for the opportunity. I understand that the concept of a pool or consortium is foreign to this group. We haven't talked about this as your agent before, so I just want to take a few minutes and just describe what it is. And you'll probably see some similarities in some organizations that you're somewhat familiar with. So in a nutshell, nearly 20 years ago, 9 West Michigan school districts decided to break away from a union-backed health insurance plan in the teachers union and form their own pool. The whole idea of it was to take more control over plans, rates, and be able to run their own pool, knowing that they could do it more effectively than going with the model that they were in. So some names that would be familiar to you that started that pool 9 years ago. And by the way, it was only a school district pool when it started. Then a handful of years ago, City of Zeeland, City of Hudsonville came in, and it became more of a municipal pool as well. Spring Lake Public Schools, Ottawa ISD, Kent ISD, Caledonia, Rockford, East Grand Rapids, those type of school districts, if they're familiar, are the ones that were, I'll say, the founding members of this pool. So that's who we are as a pool. It's a little bit unique in that the members drive the pool. Every member in the pool has a board seat, and that is the group that makes the decision. So it's the people covered by the pool who are actually making the decisions for the pool. Or to give you a one-page snapshot of what the pool is, it basically has about 200 municipal public entities. It is governed by the Department of Insurance and Fiscal Services out of Lansing. By law, public entities can share risk together. Your for-profit manufacturing company, for-profit electrical, whatever it is not eligible for the pool. You have to be a city, a township, a road commission, a school, a college. So there are 200 members. There will be 200 members. There's about 190 right now. The growth usually happens at the turn of the calendar year. So about 200 members. Why it works is those 200 members represent about 20,000 employees. The whole model is claims are claims.
That's great.
When you move to the pool, it doesn't mean that we don't have babies and get cancer and have claims. That is just part of the system of providing good medical care. The model inside the pool is when you're that large, we're going to drive down the admin costs of running it. We're going to go out for a national bid on RX. We're going to negotiate with carriers on admin. 20,000 employees represent about, does that mean I'm done?
No, you're good.
No. You didn't have 3 minutes. No, you're good.
That's funny.
Those 20,000 employees represent about 45,000 covered lives. So it's an economies of scale. We know the carriers, and we've got great carriers in Michigan, but we know that they certainly have an admin cost to run their business. The whole model of the pool is we're going to lower that admin cost and give that money back to municipalities, counties, cities, and employees. So here's the one snapshot of the pool. It is stuck with its goals and who it wants to be. It was actually the city manager over at the City of Zeeland was the chair of the pool at the time when we drove these goals. It's all about members, value, and trust. Members, value, and trust. They have a committee that's called the Member Experience Committee. They have a value committee. This is what they do and why they do it, and they do it very well. So who's in the pool? This is the growth chart going back to January 1 of 24. So you can see those 9 school districts back in 2005 started with about 900 lives. Doubled the first 5 years, doubled the second 5 years, tripled the third 5 years, and it's doubling again the next 5 years. So we know it works. Retention has been at 100% for a lot of years straight. So every group that joins the pool stays in the pool because it works. Most people come in for the rates and they stay because it's a model that works. It helps employees and it helps municipalities. Here's a kind of a heat map, I'll call it, of every place. It started out right here in Ottawa and Kent County, and now it's expanded pretty soon the whole north. By the way, it does not have a growth plan. It doesn't say in 5 years we want to control the entire state. That's not the model. It is, we're going to run a very good pool, and if it works for other members, and they can come in. So here, and I understand this font is probably pretty small, but if you go all the way over to the right, those are the groups in Ottawa County right now that are already in the pool. Just about every school district, but you see City of Ferrysburg, City of Hudson, thank you. No cheaters on right now. City of Hudsonville, City of Zeeland, Georgetown Township, even transportation, Macatawa County Transportation, Village of Spring Lake, the library in Spring Lake, Park Township. So throughout all of Ottawa County, there are a number of groups. in the pool already. Here's page 2 of the groups. I won't go through all of them, but when you have 100 and close to 200 of them, there's 2 pages of them. Here's why it is, here's why it works. The
Mhm.
blue line is the pool's average increase the last 6 years. It's been 4.9% on average. And I understand you're with Priority Health. Blue Cross is certainly the major player in Michigan when it comes to covered lives. They're the yellow line here. So their average increase this year for small and large groups was about 13%. We also benchmark against the MESA, we call it MESA, it's a teacher's insurance plan. They were at 14% this year. So as you'll see, year in and year out, the whole goal of this pool is to beat statewide trend. And we're doing it by 2, 3, 4% a year. That's important because it gives money back to employees, it gives money back to counties. They also formed a rate protection model that said we're not going to see big swings in rates. So no matter how bad your claims are, one year to a next, we're going to share risk among groups. That's the whole model of it. So that was what the pool is. I would be more than happy to answer any questions that you might have.
I have one. If we were to add this, go this route, people that have had prior, like cancer, I know a lot of these won't cover if it's been less than 5 years since you've had that. So how does that work for employees that may be in that situation?
I didn't hear I think you said
Lean in
people
to your
with priority health, if we were to move, is that what
If
you
we
were
were to
saying?
move to this?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for clarifying that. So nothing changes from the coverage. The pool offers Blue Cross or Priority Health.
Okay.
So if I'm an end user, and I actually have a personal experience because my wife is a deputy for Allegan County, I'm covered by the pool and I'm actually covered by Priority Health. So for your employees here, it's going to feel exactly the same. Same doctors, same plans. The only thing that's going to feel a little different is cost is less.
Okay.
But they're going to get an insurance card that has Priority Health's logo and the pool's logo. And that would be about the only thing that they would identify that would be different. Nothing changes from the network or plan quality.
Commissioner Moss?
Yeah, thank you for the information. It's very interesting. What is the governance of the pool like? Just curious.
The governance?
Yeah, yeah.
So the governance structure is you have 186 board members. And then they elect a 7-member executive team.
Mhm.
No offense, but you can't do much with 186 board members,
Nope,
right?
you can't, no.
So they elect a 7-member executive team to kind of run the day-to-day structure.
So the board members are from the members in the pool?
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
It's cool.
Typically, what
Yeah.
you want is someone from HR who is working directly with employees to be on the board.
Yep.
Because the board meetings are really about sharing information, about knowing about the plans and everything. So the board members are, for example, the current chair is the superintendent at Spring Lake Schools right now.
Mhm.
So that would give you an example of who's on the board.
Was
Commissioner Walnut.
membership ever presented to Ottawa County Board of Commissioners in previous years? I was just curious because if this organization kind of had its roots in Ottawa County, I was just curious if maybe the county was kind of watching the growth of this and maybe decided at the right time we're gonna jump in.
No, we're already in. This is just a resolution changing some trustee names on the account.
We're already in.
Yeah, I was a little confused.
We're
We're
not in.
not?
No, we're
No,
not.
we are not
This
in.
is-
We've been fully insured by Priority Health. We've been
Right.
keeping an eye on the pool as they've grown, and every year we've considered, but when you're getting 0% increases from Priority Health, you don't really want to make a change.
This
at
is
that
when you
point in
start
time.
shopping.
So now that we're
Okay.
seeing large increases, we're like, all right, now let's consider the pool. So today, the resolution before you is to name trustees to sit on that board.
Yep.
And then as part of that comes all the bylaws and the contract that is part of the packet for today.
Okay.
That makes sense. Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Curran?
Thank you. And I know that you said it was like a 23 or 24% with priority increase in our costs. Remind me, what is the increase that we're going to receive with
It was
joining the
8.9,
pool? Is it like 8%?
About 9.
Not 8%. We basically saved about 4 or 5% in admin costs from being direct with priority to being with priority inside the pool. So from a dollar standpoint, that's about $450,000 to $500,000.
But the chart that you had up, the line graph, you were showing like a 9%, 8.9% increase as opposed to a 24% increase annually this year.
Yeah, yeah, thank you.
So I think that's what Rebecca's
That's
referencing.
somewhat confusing now. So let me just clarify that. The pool's average increase this last year was 8.9%.
Okay.
The market was about 14%. When Ottawa County wants to look into coming in the pool, we take your demographics, so
Right.
age and gender, and we take your claims experience for the last 24 months, both medical and RX. We look at those, analyze them, look at what they would cost in the pool, and then give a rate for coming in the pool. So future years, that chart will make sense because that'll be the average increase of the pool. But your first year, we will rate you based on who you are right now, and it's about 4 or 5% less than what you're paying now.
Okay. I used to actually work in this space, so direct to employer contracting with Mercy Health. So this will be a self-insured product, correct, for a 20,000 people membership. And you have a board and then 200 members who help make decisions. And so it's a shared risk model. Given that, do you know, saying you're using Blue Cross as a product then? Do you have, I mean, have you ever considered or do you use clinical pharmacists as you're speaking to costs of RX? It's also a number of RX that are there that will directly impact your cost. Do you understand why I'm saying prescriptions?
Yeah.
So I've been in care management. I can tell you that that's where there's a bulk, you know, it's like people with 20 different medications prescribed. And then you see the symptomatology and what they're going into the emergency room for, oftentimes is related. Care management is another kind of, do you have care management involved with this pool?
Yeah. Yeah, you can think about any service you're getting with Priority Health right now will continue with this. We have a unique advantage because of our size. We actually meet with the pharmacy team of Blue Cross and Priority Health each month to talk about coverage, trends, and biosimilars. And we have a pharmacist that is on the committee to do it. So it is just that next layer of involvement in your medical plan to really try to drive down some of those costs.
We started to employ clinical pharmacists actually, and something just to recommend because it will be a reduction in your prescription costs, I promise you. And then care management and following those people who are expensive, navigating healthcare, especially when you receive a cancer diagnosis or something of chronic disease, having a care management in place to kind of partner and navigate for the employee is really important. It saves costs and less emergency room visits. This area is actually very open to this kind of product because they've had embedded clinics in a lot of their manufacturing sites, and Prince Manufacturing actually started with MVP. I don't know, as an independent clinic, I'm a little bit of a nerd, but it was a really good thing. And being self-insured makes us more responsible for, you know, kind of the care that our employees are receiving. So. All right, there's my little history. Yes, Commissioner Moss.
One thing, Zach, that I think I heard you say is that the net result of some of the plan changes may be lower costs for employees, or at least options. Could you go back and speak to that just a little bit to give us a little more
So last week,
information?
the County Health Alliance met to go over plan design options. So we pretty much, HR thinks of some options to present to the unions, the CHA. But we just give them the full gamut. Like, are you interested in going to a co-insurance model? What if we raise the deductibles higher? What if we switch to an HMO type network, and what does that look like? So we go through all those different models, and we have come forward with several plan design options that the unions are on board with. So we don't have the final rates on those yet. Plus, we don't know how many employees, like employee behavior, if they'll switch to which plan or which. I don't have a final
Right.
number as to what those savings would be. But just know that the unions, the employees, and the employer have come together to look at plan design options to decrease the cost even further.
Can you share with the unions that it's not the Board of Commissioners that are changing their insurance plans? Because I have been approached by a couple of employees concerned that we were going to reduce their benefits, basically increase their costs. That would be
Yeah,
really helpful. It was very surprising.
I'm not quite sure where that stems from, because we have the County Health Alliance within all of the contracts. But we can definitely help with any information.
Yeah, I got a picture of an email. So, yeah, that's all. Commissioner Moss.
Yeah, I think one of the things that I like hearing the best is that you're looking for options, that you're working collaboratively to create new options or to come up with different options for people. And, people are, families are in different, life situations. And so I like hearing that it's a very collaborative process and working together with them. So thank you.
Just
Chair Bellamy.
lastly too, that for most of our, as you mentioned earlier, they're able to keep their doctor because, if they experience Priority Health or Blue Cross, that's going to continue. And so I guess, just to, when change comes, then it's that anticipation of, okay, am I going to lose something? I have this valued relationship with, my child's doctor for whatever reason, you want to keep that. So we're on the same path.
Yeah, absolutely. Employees won't notice a difference other than they'll get new insurance cards. Plus, there's some additional programs that we'll be eligible for that we don't currently have.
Okay.
So it'll just be an added benefit to employee while experiencing lower costs. In addition, we've had troubles in the past based on the experience of our plans of having other health insurance providers bid on our plans, which is always concerning because then you're just kind of stuck with whatever you're given. And we don't like that as an option. So by joining the West Michigan Health Insurance Pool, it allows for further options. It allows for the whole West Michigan Health Insurance Pool to approach Blue Cross Blue Shield as a large employer and
Right.
say, hey, we don't like how this is working. Let's look at that. And I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Mike, but the pool is the biggest customer for Blue Cross Blue Shield of Michigan. So that just gives us a lot of more say and power rather than coming forward with our 2,000 lives that we have here currently.
Sure.
We'd be coming forward with the whole pool in itself.
Mhm. No, and do ask them for the clinical pharmacist. That was something that we were, it's like through Priority Health, but it was kind of a shared expense that they were offering. It was Priority Health. I promise you, you will have a great deal of savings if you do that. Because they meet with the individuals, they go through their medications, they go through their disease processes, and they start to eliminate the things that are unnecessary that could actually be harmful. So it's a wonderful product and it's savings on both sides, quality of life and financial savings as well.
Yeah, we've seen great success, especially with the care management that you had mentioned. We get a
Yeah.
report annually of how many people participated. Priority Health, based on claims, automatically has a process to reaching out to those people to get them enrolled in care management.
Mhm.
Hopefully the doctor's office, or if they have that availability, they're already in care management there and they can work collaboratively with Priority Health. And if not, then Priority Health will be the primary care manager for that situation and look at the morbidities and other options as well for them.
Yeah, the way the process worked through the insurance provider, and I don't know if it works the same way here, is that, so for instance, I work for Lax Industries. And so I'd get a daily report of admissions that time. And so they would organize based upon acuity, how sick the person was. And typically we tried to intervene early, with, kind of a early diagnosis of diabetes, for instance. But it was really beneficial to go after the people who were very, very sick too, because they were the ones who were going back to the emergency room multiple times, high cost, right? And getting sicker because they had poor navigation. They're really lost in the health system. So just a different model to look at and one that it turns out to be helpful. So. Yes, Commissioner Belknap.
Can we get a copy of the presentation?
Yeah,
emailed to
that's what I was
us?
looking
George
forward
notified me
to.
that'll be added to the packet.
Perfect. Thank you.
Wonderful. Great. Thank you so much. Yeah. All right. So the motion is to approve and forward to the Board of Commissioners the request to adopt the resolution naming trustees and alternate trustees for West Michigan Health Insurance Pool. Go to roll call.
Mr. Belknap,
Yes.
Mr. Moss,
Yes.
Mrs. Wenzel,
Yes.
Mrs. Curran,
Yes.
and Ms. Cosby.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is action item number 7 to increase FTE of the Veterans Affairs Administrative Assistant. The motion is to approve and forward to the Board of Commissioners a request from the Veterans Affairs to increase the hours of administrative assistant position from a 0.4 FTE to a 0.5 FTE at a cost of $20,315 funded by the CVSF grant. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
I know we have Jason here. Do we have discussion? Seems pretty straightforward. Yeah. You're not asking for much, actually.
No, and it's funded by the grant and the grant.
Yeah.
No cost to the county.
All right. We'll go ahead and go to a roll call vote. Thank you, Jason.
Mr. Moss,
Yes.
Mrs. Curran,
Yes.
Mrs. Wenzel,
Yes.
Mr. Belknap,
Yes.
and Ms. Cosby.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. And number 8 on the agenda is FY24 and FY25 budget adjustments. The suggested motion is to approve and forward to the Board of Commissioners FY24 and 25 budget adjustments per the attached schedule. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Is there discussion? All right, seeing none, we'll go to a roll call vote.
Mrs. Curran,
Yes.
Mrs. Wenzel,
Yes.
Mr. Belknap,
Yes.
Mr. Moss,
Yes.
and Ms. Cosby.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. All right, we're done with the action items. Next up is committee reports, for which we have none.
We have
And-
the treasurer report, remember?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yep, the treasurer's report that's not on here. Sorry, Cheryl. Did not mean to exclude you. I've got to follow my agenda. Yeah, thanks.
So I submitted the treasurer's report to you. I wanted to
Appreciate that.
highlight in the graphs where you see the open investments, it's the pie chart. We will be having in September, we purchased more municipal bonds. One of them was Spring Lake Schools. So it was nice to be able to help out a local school. And we also purchased a couple of treasury bonds. So those will be increasing in the next month. If you look at the bar graph for the investment distribution by maturity, you'll see that there is very little in the 91 to 180 days. That is because we had a bunch mature, which we just purchased more, so that will increase. The additional information that I provided to you from Huntington Securities just basically talked about the increase. The Fed dropped the rate by 50 basis points, sorry. So that was, I think you all were aware of that, but I just wanted to, mention that. So we will not be earning as much it's good for people who are
Wanting to buy.
obtaining mortgages
Right.
and
Right.
stuff, but it's not good for investing. So that's why we did purchase some municipal bonds and some treasuries. We tried to get ahead of the curve and we were able to do that. So also, they mentioned futures. There's a 51% probability price for a 50 basis point cut in November. Another one.
I know.
And a 96 probability of a 75% basis cuts expected for 2024 November or December. So we could be
Additional?
additional.
Yep.
So
thanks.
Word.
just wanted to make you aware of those. Also, I didn't include this, but I just received it in an email yesterday. The chairman of the Fed, he had provided an
Powell.
economic outlook, Chairman Powell. And one of the things that he mentioned in his outlook was that
Their decision to reduce the policy rate by 50 basis points reflects their growing confidence that with an appropriate recalibration of their policy stance, strength in the labor market can be maintained in a context of moderate economic growth and inflation moving sustainably down to 2%. They are not on any present course. So even though people are predicting there will be more, they are saying that they are not for sure going to do anything, that they make their decisions meeting by meeting. So just a little follow-up on that. Do you have any questions?
No, I had heard a financial analyst say that banks make money by loaning it, and right now, nobody wants to borrow money.
Right.
So they were predicting that there would be interest rate drops.
Yes,
Because of
and I watch home sales. My son is a realtor, so I've been watching those. And actually, our neighbor has their house for sale and has not even had a bite on it, and it's been for sale for a month. So
Really
usually
different. Yeah.
it would have been sold within that first month. And yeah, so home sales are not going as fast as they were either.
And we were looking at data yesterday from 2021 to 2024 in the median home price. It's significantly different. It was like 191,000 and change in
Right.
21, and then almost, what was it, 325 to, yeah.
Ridiculous.
It was a huge jump and
Understandable.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so our incomes, our median incomes aren't following that same
Maybe
trend.
with-
They're going up, but not
Yeah,
enough
maybe
to
with dropping
compensate.
rates, the home sales will.
Pick up.
Yeah, yeah.
We'll see.
Hard time for real estate agents. It was a really hot market for
Yes.
several years.
Yeah.
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 Commissioner Moss.
Just wondered if you had heard anything about the dock worker strike, future impact. I know there's been a lot of discussion about that in the last couple weeks.
No, I have
and-
not heard anything on that.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
I've been watching, like I get the emails from Chairman Powell from the Fed and stuff. They haven't mentioned that too much, so.
I think they're hoping it wouldn't happen, but
Yes.
surprise.
It did, yeah. They want a 77% increase, as I recall.
Right.
Yeah.
Did happen. Today.
80? I heard 77. Wow.
And I heard the UAW is
Yeah.
also going to be striking.
Hmm.
Yeah, and the longshoremen on the west coast will actually slow down in support of their longshoremen on the east coast as well. So,
Just saying, we have no idea what impacts that's going to have in the
it's going to be
next
terrible.
30 to 90 days
It's going to be not good.
and longer.
Yep.
They
Or
don't hear
strike,
this
yeah.
out.
Or,
Yeah.
yeah. It's kind of a world held hostage. I mean, we are, but yeah. Yeah, we are a global economy.
Mhm. Mhm. It's true.
Let us all pray.
Toilet paper.
So, all right. Any further questions for Cheryl? All right, seeing none, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry for forgetting you. Oh. All right. So next up is public comment. If you are interested in providing a public comment, please come to the podium, state your name and where you vote, and you have 3 minutes.
Yeah, it's 77% over 5 years, and they're being offered 50%. So
Oh, that's
what
true. Yeah.
significant.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's going to be costly for us as consumers, for sure. I wanted to say 2 things. On the healthcare side, I thought we budgeted 3%. I questioned that at the time. It appears that it's going to be 8% or 14% or something much higher than that. And that's what I'm getting in the 2 businesses that I'm involved with. So that's more in line with the healthcare cost.
Yeah.
And the last thing, I want to follow up on the search. And what you need to do is send out an RFP for a partner. And there are a lot of people, there are a lot of companies out there that do this. The W Group, we can search them for actors, which we've had for like almost 2 years now in that position. And they serve models, maybe. They don't mention that in their website, but that's the business they're in, like William Morris. And that doesn't make sense for us. And if we're the first client that they've ever had in this arena, I don't think I want to be that position. That doesn't make sense either. And the last thing, I guess, was Oh, do they know about the chaos over the last year and 9 months that's been going on in Ottawa County? If they've read the paper, they probably do. Do they know that there's a change in administration in 3 months that might affect what they want to do? 2 of you have been voted off already, maybe more. We'll see what happens, of course, in a month, I guess. And they should know that, just in case, because the new administration might want to go a different route. But I think you at least ought to do an RFP. There are, like I say, there are a lot of companies that do this, and we don't need a William Morris type talent agency. We seem to have picked that out of the internet web pages, and we just like going down, put your finger on that. That doesn't make sense, because what Joe did was basically that. So anyway, thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there anyone else? Going once? Twice? 3 times? This meeting is adjourned. Thank you.